Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night. This is, of course, episode 24 of the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show, the place where grassroots rugby league gets the glory it deserves. I'm Dave Parkinson.
And I'm Steve Beach, and this week we've got passion, punch and plenty of points to talk about from right across the National Conference League.
Absolutely, Steve. The Premier Division brought us some grit and grind. Thatto Heath overcame a red card to beat Hunslet, while Siddal made a huge statement away win at Waterhead.
Yep, and we'll hear from key voices on that one. Siddal's Gareth English, the captain Canaan Smithies, plus Waterhead's Alison Dodd and Finlay Rogers, all coming up shortly.
But it wasn't just the Premier Division that was turning heads. Oh no, Kells, they stunned Introse Bridge in Division 1. East Leeds kept their unbeaten run going in Division 2. No one's stopping them, had they? And Saddleworth, they ran riot in Division 3.
Loads to break down and some seriously eye-catching performances. So let's not hang about. Grab yourself a brew, settle in, and let's kick off with a full roundup from all our 4 divisions.
You've got a great line there. Here you go. Your grassroots roundup starts right now.
So, what should we start with?
You know what? Let's start the game that we were at. So this was between Waterhead Warriors and Siddal. An awesome game as well, to be honest. Siddal laying down a real marker with a dominant display. I say dominant, it kind of became dominant as the game went on, didn't it? Because the first 20-25 minutes, Waterhead had the better of play, but couldn't get over the line other than the one try that they scored. Matty Holland did open that scoring for the hosts, and Siddal then took over with tries from Sam Walsh, Canaan Smithies, and 2 from Lewis Hosty, who also added 5 goals. Harry Milnes then added the final try. Waterhead's second half effort included a try from James Perks, but the damage was already done. So scorers in this one for Siddal: Sam Walsh, Canaan Smithies, Lewis Hosty with 2, Harry Milnes getting on the act with Lewis Hosty adding 5 goals. And for Waterhead, it was Matty Holland and James Perks, the try scorers. Goal split between Keegan Brennan, who unfortunately went off injured, and Finlay Rogers, who popped up with that last conversion. Let's hear the best of the action, shall we? Because we were there.
We certainly were.
Joy sets himself for the line, drives it hard and straight, and he's 5 metres out. He'll play this ball to Perks. Perks will look to his right, plays it to Keegan Brennan. Brennan out to Owen, and then it's further wide. It could be in, and they have crossed. It's the first try of the game. Goes the way of Matt Holland, filling in for the injured Tim Bridge, who hasn't made the starting lineup this afternoon. And Holland opens that scoring. It was wide passes, and he showed some real strength there, didn't he? So that try comes 11 minutes into the game. Ball to be brought to the right hand side from Greenwood. Ackroyd plays it out to Hosty. That was a lovely face ball. They've dived in at the corner. What a pass from Lewis Hosty. That was inch perfect. Sam Walsh with the try.
Absolutely quality there, Parker. We know what he's like when he gets the ball with regards to speed. He can really motor, but joined the line, a superb pinpoint pace pass out to the wing, and Siddal post a 4-pointer.
And now this is the standoff. Milnes just scragged and dragged to the floor. Harry Milnes. Referee waves all on. It was the last tackle. They'll come forward again. Here's Canaan Smithies. Smithies twists, turns. He's put it down, slams it down under the post, and Siddal celebrates. Greenwood at dummy half. Long ball left. Milnes slips it out.
Lovely ball.
On the charge. That was great. And they're sliding in. It's Lewis Hosty who goes in. But that was all brilliant from Josh Milnes. I think that also Danny Williams was involved. And sliding over for his second try of the game, Lewis Hosty. But here's Sam Walsh. Very nifty on his feet inside the 20-metre line. He goes. Greenwood from dummy half. Dummies to the left, brings it to the right. Hosty kicks forward. Hosty. He's won the race. Has he touched that down? Is the referee going to give this one?
I think he is.
He does point to the spot. That was real quality individual stuff from Hosty. He spotted that Hamilton was just a little bit behind the play of the ball. He was just ever so slightly not in position, and we're only talking by about a metre here. Dow gets through the first carry, gets through the second challenge. He's 5 metres out from the line. Last tackle signalled here. Siddal though on the charge. Ball will go to this right side with Ackroyd. Ackroyd across. Oh, lovely hands.
Lovely play again.
Superb pass. It came out just at the right time. Henry Turner on to Sam Walsh. Walsh has his second try. Barker goes on the charge. Horner finds him with the hit. Hosty's also involved as well. Canaan Smithies too. Ball moved to the right hand side. In fact, he's picked it up as Perks. He dummied. I fell for the dummy.
I think he's in.
I thought he'd pass, but Perks, he kept it under his wing and dived over the line. Brilliant work from him. Greenwood slides it into touch. Referee blows his watch, checks the whistle, blows for full time. It's another win for Siddal. This one on the road. They won this afternoon by 30 points to 12 against Waterhead.
13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show, discussing the greatest game at all grassroots levels.
Couple of corrections there.
Really?
Yeah. So actually, Sam Walsh scored 2 tries, as you heard.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
In that one. And also the referee checked his watch and blew his whistle.
I heard that one when I was putting that together, and I thought, I've got to send this through to Parker. And I think that's going to be a mainstay of the show for the rest of the season now.
You know, I must have done about 500 commentaries, Steve. You've picked up an error. This is what happens. People will be thinking he can't commentate now because of one error in 500 games, Steve.
Everybody, you have to do it every week now. You do realise that. That's like your trademark.
A brand new trademark. But no, in all honesty, I've got to thank Waterhead. Again, fantastic host for us. Yeah. I know they believe in a lot of what we're doing for the show. It is gratefully received, the sort of attention to detail that they do. I know on the videos, for example, they do include our logo, and that is much appreciated. And thanks to John Perks as well, because he gave us a good mention after the game, didn't he? We weren't expecting that. Yeah. We didn't pay for any sponsorship, so I'm wondering whether he's going to send us a message at some point in the week, to
get an invoice through.
Yeah, get our invoice through. But
on the back of that, Parky, too, what they do with when they do the Waterhead TV, it's an experience. It's not just a match.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a cracking little bit where the interviewer, some of the guys, and obviously some of the players, and so you get a feel for the game. When it's starting, and
it's quite tongue in cheek as well, isn't it? And not ultra serious or anything like that, but very entertaining,
very watchable,
very entertaining. I mean, you even got a quick interview in that one. Yeah,
I was doorstepped, and he said he put a face to the name. I said, "That's it, Taxman's after me now." But also, he interviewed the couple of guys who were with us, who were from Leeds, weren't they? And going round sort of just watching various NCL matches. I know the young lad's name was Ben. Was it John? The other,
I think it was. Yeah, but I mean, 2 great fellas. I'm very, very keen on. I didn't know it only took 45 minutes to get from Leeds to Waterhead.
It's about the same type of length of time as it took us to get
there. It's no wonder Barry McDermott and Kevin Sinfield actually were went for as long as they did in Leeds, because that's
only around the corner, isn't it?
In some respects, yeah. So
wonderful setup there, though. I've got to say. I mean, they really make you feel welcome.
And I said this last week, so I'm going to say it again. I'm redeeming myself, because I think I said that I wanted to go back to Oldham St Anne's, and somebody dropped me in it for my little interview piece. But again, there is a smashing view from our position. I mean, we don't go to places very often and get a gantry built for us, do we? To be fair. But there is that lovely view as well over the foothills of the Pennines, and I know that a lot was made of that comment. It's a great place to watch your rugby as well.
Oh yeah, it is, and I love that little bit. Okay, I know we're on a nice little scaffolding, but even so, that nice little banking that's there, even when you just stood on that, you get a great view of everything that's going on. And I would suggest if you want to go and get onto YouTube and have a look at their games, and certainly this one that we were at, because it was a tester certainly for Waterhead, and they understand that. And, they've come up from the division below, and they're mixing it with the really big boys there. And they weren't massively out of place, were they?
We've got to really praise Siddal, though, as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Siddal, fantastic team. Again, it was a real dogfight that first half, and took a long while, really, for Siddal to get the better of Waterhead. And even then, you're thinking at 12-6 at half-time, it could go either way, weren't you? But I just felt that they kind of edged it in that second half, and then probably the last 20 minutes they were dominant at that point, but it took them a long time to gain that dominance. They are a fantastic side. I know we've seen them a couple of times now this season, really well drilled with Gareth English, doing a good job there. He's the sort of bloke that, to be honest, if I was a player, I'd want to play for.
Yeah, lovely bloke.
Because he's a really top fella, excellent communicator, really knowledgeable, Siddal to his core.
Yeah.
And he just, where sometimes, I won't say very often, but where sometimes you actually feel like you're getting in the way when you're interviewing somebody after a game, and all you wanted to do is just get a few comments and try and push the community game forward, like we do try to do every single time we step out to any sort of club. He's always so approachable.
That's right.
He's so giving in his interviews as well. And
you know what? That as well, from just speaking to a few of their team, when they were warming up and come on, that seems to run through their team as well. Yeah. Because quite a few of the lads came passing, you all right, how are you doing, that type of thing. Well, they could just easily run by and ignore you. Not in a nasty way, but they go out of the way just a little thing back, saying hello and all that sort of stuff.
They've got good manners in that school.
Well, yeah, and then it goes a long way. That first 20 minutes, though, I mean, Waterhead really took it to him and give him the due, the defence. That's what won them the game.
The defence was
that was defensive first 20 minutes, because it set that platform then, didn't it?
Because arguably Waterhead had enough position, enough possession, enough play the balls in that 20-metre area to score about 3 or 4 tries. So the fact that the defence hung on and only conceded the one, when at that particular point Waterhead were dominant, and fair play to him, they really did come out and they tore into him. But I was really impressed with Siddal and the way that they were able to turn that round. They're a class outfit. Yeah, and they're going to be there or thereabouts again, I think, this season. Now, shall we get some interviews,
Why not?
Steve? So after the game, we'll start with the Siddal perspective. So after the game, I caught up with their head coach, first of all, Gareth English, and this is our conversation. Okay, I'm delighted to be joined after the game by Siddal head coach Gareth English. Gareth, tough fought victory that today, but I thought your defence was what really was the key today.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the first half an hour was nip and tuck, a really tough, tight game, which we expected. Waterhead are a really good side. They've been promoted, they're top 4, probably one of the new teams in the league, and they're absolutely flying. And I think we always knew it was going to be tough coming here. I think the first half an hour, just end to end, really good defence from both sides. I think just 10 minutes before half time, a little bit of fatigue setting for them. They'd done a few sets on their own line, and we managed to just get that lead just on half time, which was a nice try, just going at 12-6 at half time.
I thought your 2 tries that you scored at that point were actually really good, because there was the one with the face ball out to Sam Walsh in the corner, and then that worked around with Canaan.
Under post. Yeah.
I mean, as a forward, an ex-forward yourself, you must be pleased when that goes to plan.
Yeah, that'll be 80 yards by end of night. But them 5 yarders, they're all forwards want hard. They don't want them more than 5 yards. It's still 4 points. But I just thought clinical there. That first time we really put a bit of sustained pressure on their line. A few back-to-back sets, and we scored 2 nice tries. I thought, really pleased at half time that we managed to turn it round.
And then second half, it was like Lewis Hosty stepped up then, so it was like the second half was Hosty's, wasn't it? Basically?
We just said we could do with throwing ball around a bit more. We seemed to be going into a shell a little bit in that first half, which sometimes you do in tough games. You don't want to make an error. We just said to them, back the skills and just start playing a bit, start throwing ball around and do what you've done all year, and we'll be all right. So when we start throwing ball around, obviously Hosty's plays an extra half back for his half back, so he gets his hands on ball a lot more, and a lot of strong carries from the back line from Hosty today as well. I'm really pleased with that.
And I got to say as well, I thought you got real value off your bench as well. I mean, Don Booth came on and it was like he was offering himself up saying, give me the ball, I'm going to carry it in, and Macaulay Macaulay Higgins in particular. Excellent.
Yeah. Dom's one of them players. He's either wing or he's prop. He can just play anywhere in the team. He's ideal to have in your squad. He's had a few weeks out of a bad hip, Dom. That was a nice hit out for him today. Played well. And Macaulay, to be fair, Macaulay's come in this year. He's been really good for us all year. He's a really good impact player off the bench and likes to play a little bit. Yeah, really impressed.
Where's he come from? Has he been in your juniors?
He played in juniors at Siddal years ago, but he's had a few bad injuries. He hasn't played for a while. It's his first season back. First time he's played in first team, yeah. So, yeah, really pleased with how he's going.
So that must be really encouraging. And again, that sort of speaks a lot about Siddal as a club, doesn't it? And, it's like you just create players and players and players and players, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, the bench did really well today. We had Mason Scott and we had Leo Dowell made his debut for the first team today. And them two went really well as well. I'm really pleased with them. And that's what it's about. It's about... We've probably hindered the second team today because we've took some of their better players, but that's what it's all about. And they've had the shot in the first team today, and neither of them let themselves down. And I thought they were both really good.
I joked a bit in our commentary because I said I don't know where it is with Yorkshire forwards, but you just find some massive lads.
Yeah, no, he's a big unit. He's Leo, to be fair. He's a big kid, and Mason just runs hard down the middle, he's straight up and down. So I would play, like I said, the bench really had give us an impact today. And I thought I was really pleased with having a couple of players out at the bench who stood up today, and I was really happy with them.
We're now getting to past that halfway point of the season, or towards that halfway point. Are you where you want to be? Do you see the team developing in the way that you do? Because I know, speaking a few weeks ago before Easter when you played against Lee Miners, the feeling amongst the camp with people that I spoke to was like you hadn't really hit your strides at that point.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season was a bit of a scratchy one for us because we were playing 2 games, having a week off, playing 3, having a week off. Now we've got a run of 10 games, so I'm hoping we can hit some ground running and get some form going. Last week was really good against Lee Miners. Obviously today we're really good effort, tough effort, good effort. And then next week we go West Hull, so it don't get much bigger than that in this little block. But yeah, we're second in league. I take that. I think any coach in this league that's got top 2 halfway through would be happy with that because it's a tough league home and away. There's some tough games home and away in this league. So I think anybody that's in top 2, top 3 would be happy with that.
That's a proper lip smacker next week, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, over there, a belting game over there, West Hull, and when we played West Bowling, that were a belting game as well. That's same as today. The top sides play some beautiful rugby. Sometimes I see myself stood there clapping at their tries because I just think, wow, what a play. And I just like rugby and I just enjoy teams playing rugby and some good tries and some brilliant individuals in this league.
Is it nice seeing you, because now you've got anybody from 10 upwards in the league could actually get themselves in the playoff and have a real team to take, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, Hunslet were the epitome of that last year, weren't they? They'd struggled at start and they got in I think they were 4th or 5th and they ended up winning it. I mean, anybody who gets in the 6 can beat anybody on the day. You can, like I say, top 10 in this league and beat anybody on the day, home and away. If you're off it by 1-2%, you're getting beat wherever you are, home or away.
Well, I can't wait to see how your game goes next week. I know certainly I would love to be there, again. But I wish you all the best for it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much. Cheers.
Green Cooling keeps the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show cool, even when tackles get heated.
Do you know what, Parker? From what he's saying there, I can totally understand what he's saying. Speaking to the guy and listening to how he talks, like you say, he's got the know-how and the knowledge, and you can tell that, can't you? So it doesn't surprise me that he's applauding good tries, whether it's his own side or not, because he's weighing up or saying that's good. So might have a bit of that. I'm sort of deconstructing it to see how it's scored and appreciating what's gone into it. And that, for me, is the sign of an excellent coach.
A great bloke. I mean, it was a really insightful interview that as well. And speaking about the different guys that have either come through that Siddal system or have returned. I mean, he mentioned there about Macaulay Higgins. I thought he was particularly strong off the bench. Did a real ton of work.
Well, we said, didn't we? He was an absolute machine because he was in everything or offering himself for everything.
And then Don Booth, so to hear him described as he's either a wing or a prop, I mean, you can't get too much more different positions, can you? Although these days, wingers do a lot of carries,
Yeah,
don't they?
it's
Whereas,
true,
whereas in the past, they'd be stood out on the wing,
Yeah.
just looking to finish everything off what went their way. But you do have to.
No, they come in now
really
and take
that pressure off, don't
That's
you?
right. Don't I mean, even in the professional game, I think sort of started that, didn't it?
Well, you see wingers quite often in Super League on the stat side, having 15, 20 carries a game. And I reckon Don Booth was up around that, that sort of mark. He was like, sometimes he's taking 2 or 3 balls in a set, isn't he? And you're thinking, hang on, there's other people out there, and if it weren't him taking the ball,
give him his own ball.
If it weren't him taking the ball in, it was either Canaan Smithies or it was Macaulay Higgins. I mean, they're just they're a really good unit. Yeah. Siddal. I was really impressed with them. But then again, I have to say, I was impressed with them last time I saw them. I was quite surprised when they didn't seem to be very happy with the performance, because I'm like thinking, wow, if they're not happy with the performance, it's going, it's going so.
Yeah, but I remember that league game, and I can understand because they sort of, first half of that league game, they were absolutely white hot, and then whether they took the foot off the gas or whether they just thought this is, sort of subconsciously did that. And if you remember, the young lads of Lee Miners really started having a go in, and it looked as though, hang on, and then they managed to pull it together near the end. So I couldn't understand that. I thought this was a much better performance.
Yeah, from minute one, and the fact that they were put under so much pressure in those opening stages, and certainly for the first 25, 30 minutes, as Gareth said there, to then go and score 30 points. I mean, that is real creditable stuff, isn't it?
And Lewis Oste on the kicking duties again.
He's back in the sort of form that saw him become like the top scorer in the National Conference League Premier Division last season, isn't he? Again, I think he's a great player on his day. A really, really good player. And interesting to hear that he's like the third half back in the team, and that's how his game is developing as well.
He's another tall lad, isn't he?
He is, yeah. As I was saying, I don't know what they give him in Yorkshire. They're all either 6 foot, or they're all like, 18 stone and can run like gazelles.
Gazelles, yeah.
So that was the thoughts of Gareth English. I also caught up with the Siddal skipper, Canaan Smithies. So if you remember last time we spoke to him, he was rather upset and disappointed at that. What were his thoughts on this one? Okay, I'm alongside Canaan Smithies. Yes. Canaan, absolutely fantastic win today at Waterhead. How difficult was it, though?
It was very tough. The conditions played a big part. It's very, very hot today. Just had to hold the ball first 20 minutes. We just didn't do that. But then we got into his groove and we just ground out a good win against a good Waterhead side. I mean,
to be fair, first 20 minutes, they're all over you. As you say, it didn't help because you kept turning the ball over and there was a few penalties, wasn't there? But
coming out yardage, we were just losing loose carries. They were flying out. They were up for it. They did up well.
The plus point, though, was the fact that you did up well too, didn't you? In that period when they're all over you, just the one try.
You've got to absorb it, haven't you? Got to absorb the pressure. And we know we're a fit enough side to get them back into the game, get into the grind, and that's what we did. And
then the 2 tries just before half-time. The first one, classic backline move, Walsh flies over in the corner. Yeah. And then I wonder how you would describe your try, because I thought those were the sort of tries that's forwards you love to get. You love to force your way over.
Last 3 in a row. And those in my
3
career.
in a row?
Yeah. Same.
We've witnessed some history today, haven't we, right?
Mate, if you clip every one of them, I bet they're exactly the same. Just hit and spin over the line.
You're going to be on other people's tip sheets, aren't you? And it's like, we've let him in again.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But yeah, I'll take them if they're there. So yeah, no, happy with that.
Got to say as well, second half, you tended to throw the ball around a little bit more confidence in the movement.
Yeah, just holding the ball and then, like you say, just backing the skill. We know we can back a skill, but we just put ourselves under too much pressure in the first 20. That's why, it was a bit of a grind with them for a bit, and we stuck with it, and then we played football like that.
And then, Lewis Oste seems to be coming back into the sort of form that he finished last season in.
Yeah, you could almost say last year we peaked too early. Okay. We got to the final, we won the league, but I think the start of the year we've lost 2 games, but we were grinding wins out. We've got a block of 10 now where we need to start playing some good rugby.
Do you feel that the rugby is getting better? I know you was a bit frustrated when we spoke last time.
Like today, we've had Leo Dow debut for first team, and if you look at his team for last week, it's changed a lot from 17. So it's a great win in that aspect that we're grinding out with lads who haven't been playing first team for the past few weeks.
I just said to Gaz actually, you know, that I thought you got some real value off your bench. You know, like
Yeah.
Don Booth, who was like a man possessed. He must have took about 15 carries in when he went on.
Off your bench, you know, us a lot will try and do the hard graft, and you don't want it to dip with your bench. You want your bench to come and I think that's sometimes where we fall short sometimes. But no, it was a really good win against a good Waterhead side.
And you mentioned Leo coming in for his debut,
Yeah.
really, really solid, and Macaulay Higgins as well. I mean, I thought he was
Leo
tremendous.
in the back row, mate. They moved the ball well. They were good. That halfback was a good play for him when he shifted and to come off the bench in back row. I thought he did a really good job. And like I say, Cogsy just gives us that. He digs into the line really well, does Cogsy. And you don't know if he's going to pass it or he draws defenders in and then we can play out the back. So we're going well. And next week we've got Westall at home. So we
what don't get much bigger than that, does it?
No, obviously they beat us at their spot. So we want to be better than we were over there.
Are they a team that is, I won't say easy to prepare against, because obviously, over the years you've had some, but they're a team that you've played on a regular basis at important times of
you know what you're going to
seasons,
get. You know what you're going to get. The boys know they need to prepare well, and we know where we need to be to challenge, and hopefully we get the result. I
certainly hope that is it, for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see you with a smile on your face. Because last time we spoke, you was rather frustrated. And it's great to see Siddal finding that sort of form that that you have.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.
I really enjoyed doing these interviews this week. And each of them gives just that little bit more insight, into what's going on across both clubs. And Canaan very much more at ease, I think, this time round, finding it easier to speak, and it was more conversational than an interview, wasn't it?
And to be fair, Parker, when we started this whole venture, part of it was to help the players to get used to this sort of thing, being interviewed. Then, if they did go on to the semi-professional, professional game where it is sort of more regular, they would feel a lot more comfortable and not worried about doing it. And I think just that's a prime example from you interviewing me when we were out at Leigh. I mean, it was good there. I mean, we know some people who've interviewed who have been absolute shockers, but he was good there. But he was more relaxed there. Much the same with Gareth when you spoke to Gareth as well. I mean, same thing again. Coaches aren't usually interviewed unless you get to, the
grand finals.
Well, grand finals, and obviously if you do, well in the Challenge Cup, you might get the BBC or the radio coming in to speak to him in that respect.
Do you not know? I'll cover both of those things that you just mentioned this season.
And they're getting used to us and our setup, the way we go around, and that's great for us because we get excellent content and we can get really to the heart of the community game and how it's played and what people. The beauty of it is, from our point of view, they aren't coached in the sense of this is how you have to answer it. You get absolutely superb feedback from them, honest feedback, genuine. When they're not pleased with it, they'll tell you they're not pleased with it. When they're over the moon, you get real excited, over the top, which is great, and that's what you want to give over.
Honesty, because you can receive too much media training where then you come across as not really caring quite as much, or it sounds a bit flat.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not wanting to give away anything because you might get in trouble, or you're saying something that a club owner might not like in the pro game. So I agree. I think that the access that clubs give us, the answers that we get, the questions that we ask, because it prompts us to ask more thoughtful questions as well, and especially when you meet somebody again and then you're speaking to them, and obviously it's been a few weeks since we last spoke to anybody from Siddal, and Canaan stuck his head above the parapet back then, and he was so keen to do that interview now, which is what we want, and this is again why I love doing this show, and I love giving the limelight to some of these guys, because when you've got lads like Canaan Smithies, like Don Booth, they've been doing it for years around the national conference. They should have a higher profile than they actually do, don't they? So this is what we want, as part of what we do on the show. Okay, so we've heard from the Siddal point of view. What about the Waterhead point of view. Obviously, they went down by 30 points to 12. I caught up with 12-try Harrison Dodd, and this is our conversation. Okay, and joined by Waterhead's Harrison Dodd, top try scorer for Waterhead this season. I believe it's 12 tries that you've scored in all competitions, or certainly in the national conference anyway. Catching up with you just in the aftermath of a defeat against Siddal, what did you make of the game, first of all?
We had a strong start. We've obviously played them before, knew they were a good side, so we knew what we were up against. We just didn't stay in it long enough.
Yeah, I mean, I thought your first 20 minutes in particular, you were all over them.
Yeah.
You had all the territory, yet only managed to get that one try. I mean, I know they are a brilliant defensive side as well, but that seemed to almost not go against you, but they got some real momentum from that, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they've got really good outside push, so it's hard to get around their edges, so just had to try and come back on the middle, but...
Yeah, and how are you finding it, you know, like as a first team regular down here now at Waterhead? You've sort of been on the cusp of it for a couple of years now, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm playing with quite a few of the boys from my team have come up into open age, so it's enjoyable being around them, and old boys are teaching us ways.
And that's what the beauty is, and that's what I get when I come down here. You know, because like there's young guys like yourself, like Harry Barker, who was sort of giving you all kinds of tips and on that interview, then just behind you. But you've also got that vast experience, haven't you? You know, it must be great to play alongside these guys. Yeah,
it's brilliant. You've obviously got people like Phil, Gaz, Bridgie, who obviously lead the team forward, and learning off them, especially being in this division, is always a good thing. I mean, you've taken to this division like a duck to water, really. You know, I mean, before the start of the season, people would probably be looking and having this down as a Siddal victory by a lot. Yeah. And I think it's a great testament to yourselves and the way that you've gone about your business. Yeah. That these top sides have got to work really hard against you. Yeah, well, obviously we've come in, we've had a few people say we'd struggle to win a game, and obviously we've took this league really well for the first time we've ever been in it, and hopefully stay up in it, and a few years in here, who knows, we might win it.
To be fair as well, I mean, those people, they've obviously not seen you over the past 2 or 3 years, because I mean that rise, what you've been doing, it's just been phenomenal, you know. So and what about yourself, you know, sort of being on the end of some of this, and as I mentioned before, you know, in the build-up, top try scorer.
Yeah, well,
ahead of Jensen, you know, I mean, he's been leading it for years, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, it's just on wing, they make it easy for me, really. I don't watch the tries back, they're all just walk-ins, but I'll take them.
You've got to be there.
Still 4 points, innit?
Thank you so much for joining me, I appreciate it.
13 Pro-Am, giving a voice to Community Rugby League.
I want to give an extra special mention to Harry Barker, who was right behind my shoulder, giving Harrison Dodd like funny faces and stuff, and trying to put him off the best he could. Harrison did particularly well to keep it together in that interview.
See, now if you'd have had him in the mobile studio, that would have been sorted out.
It would have sorted it out. I should have listened to you, to be honest. Yeah.
I think I was still moving it at the time.
But great to hear from Harrison. He's probably right, you know, as a team. I mean, the performances of Waterhead haven't really surprised me at all this season. I do think that they're a very skillful side. I always thought that they would compete particularly well within the division, but it seems to have caught a number of other teams out, and they don't realise how good they actually are. But he's also right in another way, in the fact that, as well as highlighting the vastly experienced guys that have now come back from the pro ranks to give their experience to the team and drive them forward, he is a clutch of young players, one of a clutch of young players that have all come through together. And then you've got the likes of Keegan Brennan, who's not that much older as well. So I just think that they're in a really good position over the next couple of years. That he's right, get stabilised within the division, which it looks like they are doing now. You know, they definitely don't look like they're going to be a team that gets relegated. They can look right up, and they look like a playoff contender, don't they? Yeah, without doubt. And why not aim big and go for the championship over the next couple of years?
Well, that's what you should do at the end of the day, isn't it? And what you've got to do, and I think I said this in commentary as well, Dave, is that as much as they got beat, they didn't get absolutely canned or anything like that. No. But they can learn a lot from that, and they can learn a lot from how Siddal went about their game. And that's, you know, I'm sure what they'll be looking to do. And as you say, consolidate and give what if they get in that position where they can give it a crack, they will give it a good crack.
Now, also after this game, I had a chat with Finn Rogers. This, for me, is a really insightful interview because, as you'll hear, he's got an interesting backstory, and he's with Waterhead from a certain club that's not too far from here.
Okay, I'm alongside Finn Rogers. Great to get to speak to you. A recent recruit for Waterhead. Interesting few weeks for yourself, I'd imagine, as well. First of all, how are you finding it down here?
Yeah, I'm loving it. Obviously, from Oldham, so it's great to get down here and get around the lads and get some good wins. So yeah, looking forward to keep going throughout the season, getting some game time and whatnot.
What's your background for those that don't know you?
Sedworth lad, growing up, Sedworth the whole way through. Went to Wigan Scholarship growing up, and then I went over to Rugby Union playing a few seasons over there at Sale Sharks, and then went overseas to Australia, did a season out there, Rugby Union, came back and then ended up getting in contact with Wigan again, signed a deal with the reserve team there, so just trying to get game time at the moment. Obviously the reserves is quite on and off with game time, so I'm looking to play like every week at a club, which is what Waterhead said I could possibly do if I'm performing. So
when did this opportunity come up for you? Because I know that you played a little bit earlier on in the season for Swinton, didn't you?
Yeah. So I did a couple of games at Swinton, but again, it's tough with the amount of players they've got. Like they've got a massive recruitment, and their dual registers St Helens, so they bring in a lot of lads from there. So it won't guarantee game time. Obviously, it's never guaranteed game time, but here I'm probably more likely to get some game time because I'm training twice a week here and whatnot, so yeah.
And it's still local to Oldham?
Oh yeah, I live around the corner, just in Sedworth, so
belting,
nice, easy, 30-second drive for me. Yeah.
Now, is this your second game today?
Second game, yeah, so went up to Lock Lane last week, got a good win, bit of a different game to that one, but yeah, second game.
And obviously Waterhead, they're brand new to this division, aren't they? So there's a lot that everybody's learning, and today I felt was one of those learning experiences because arguably first 20-25 minutes you're much the better side, but we're only 6-0 up at the time.
The thing is, like, a lot of young lads here, so we're still learning, including me, but like I say, it's a young team, first time in this league, playing Siddal, who've been up here for how long, pumping everyone, so it's a good effort from the lads. Like that first 20 minutes when we stuck in, giving no penalties away, no errors, that's what did it for us. And then as the game got on, fatigue got in, and then more errors, more penalties, and that's when they just capitalised on that and blew us away, really. Couldn't do anything.
I think you got a bit more involved as well, though, at that particular point. You could tell from us on the sideline that you was really, really trying to spark something.
Yeah, it's your job as an half-back, innit? Like, them middles work hard, like, doing how many tackles, how many carries. Like, it's the least we can do as half-backs. We've got to try and get them to the points where we want to play from and, like, G them up a bit, really. It's what, my second week here now, and we're already, like, coming quite good together, like, as a team. It's obviously a big change bringing in an half-back, but lads have been real good with me, and yeah.
And that's what you want, isn't it? You want people to be good with you. It means that you can, get a connection going.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like when Waterhead said there was an opportunity for me here, I couldn't say no because I know what the lads are like. I know how good they are. Like, get around each other, the close-knit team. So I can't really ask for much more than that.
Finn, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing how you progress over the rest of the season.
Yes, pal. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Green Cooling keeps the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show cool, even when tackles get heated.
Good player. You're quite correct what you said to him, though. He did sort of like step up his game and try to inject himself into the game more, and tried a lot of different things, which I there was a couple of things which I said, do you know what, if they'd have done them earlier on, just a little bit some bobs, but yeah, he's going to be a good addition to them if they can keep hold of him certainly on a regular basis.
Yeah, I just thought it was quite insightful what he was saying about the reserve team league, and also he's bobbing around looking for regular rugby, and it seems like, well, I got the feeling it feels like a place where he could make his home, particularly for the rest of the season, and then put himself in the shop window for whatever comes next in his career.
Yeah, because that about bobbing around to get a game of rugby, I mean, as much as it's great to get, sort of miles under your belt, as it were, you need to try and settle with the core. And from his point of view, he's integral to the spine of the team, isn't he? And if you're playing with a different 1, a different 9 and a different 6 every week, that's not always the easiest thing to settle into. You want to try and play with the same guys that you can find out, get a rhythm going. And I think he'll slot in there. Whether he'll be able to take on a starting half back because of the 2 lads who were there. Is it Gareth Owen and Keegan Brennan? Keegan Brennan, yeah. Two really good lads. But it could be one of those where maybe he starts one week and one of the lads is on the bench for a bit. Those types of things.
And to be fair, they have got some rotation within that, haven't they? Gareth Owen has played 9 professionally.
Yeah.
So he was in Salford squad, he was in Oldham squad, and he played a lot of his pro career as a 9. So he could go to 9, Perks coming off the bench. So there's that sort of rotation. Yeah. Or
gives everybody a breather in that,
or Owen even going on the bench and giving his experience as a secondary player sort of coming on, starting with the energy that James Perks brings you, and that type of thing. So again, for me, I think that there's different combinations that they can have. I think that's a really, really good place.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Waterhead to be in, because he is an exciting player. Yeah. I think that there is a right player there, to be fair. And I'm interested to see how he goes on, because he is playing the best level of rugby that he can do, where he can get regular rugby, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's what he needs. He needs that at his age.
You know what I say? Certainly down in the Northwest Men's or Yorkshire Men's League, where if you get somebody who's gone through the academy or the scholarship side and they come out, and you can tell and they stand out. I mean, that's no disrespect to the other lads. I mean, if the other lads have gone, through the similar sort of pathway, then they'll probably be, very, very similar. But to do that at teams like NTL teams is a difficult. It's difficult in a way to stand out because there are still so many other good people there.
There's good players, isn't there?
And he did,
in all of these divisions.
And he came on, and straight away you could see there was something about him. Do you know what I mean? The way you're thinking, oh, hang on, he's just tried something a little bit different. There's. He's getting involved a lot more than maybe some of the others. Not that, again, no disrespect, they will have trained and done, but he's absorbed a lot of things that he's learned over all these different places that he's been, hasn't he? So he's got a gold mine full of bags, tricks in his bag, I suppose, from where he's been to all these places. He needs somewhere where he can settle now, open that bag and start using them.
In a lot of ways, this is almost what the dual registration back to the National Conference League Cubs should be about.
Yes, totally agree.
And I'm glad that we're seeing a lot more of it this season.
Yeah. So great match there, Parker. So
really enjoyable. Yeah. Great day out for us.
Love it. Always good banter there.
Great place, good banter. Yeah. And we get made to feel very, very welcome, which we can't. We can't thank enough, really.
Yeah, and I suppose we can't go any further without giving Jeff Owen a big shout out, because he shouts out a lot of stuff for us, doesn't he?
He does. He does. Great bloke, great club. Yeah. No doubt we'll be back before the end of the season.
I'm sure we will. We'll bump into them somewhere along the way.
Keep that gantry polished.
Right, what else happened in the Premier Division? Tatterheath Crusaders up against Hunslet. Well, Hunslet going great guns, weren't they? But in a dramatic contest at Tatterheath, the home side defied the odds after having Connor Dwyer sent off in the 28th minute for alleged punching. At that point, they were 12-6 up, thanks to early tries from King Guildford and Ryan Orton, and Orton converting both. Just before the break, Kai Siani muscled over to give Tatterheath a 12-point cushion. Hunslet made their extra man advantage tell after the restart. Tries from Ben Shulver and Jake Dearden, both converted by Jordan Gill, brought them within 2 points. But the Crusaders weren't done, and on the hour mark, Ryan Forshaw crossed twice in quick succession. The first after Hunslet fumbled, the second following slick hands through the line. Ryan Orton added 2 more goals to complete a 28 points to 16 win. Scorers for Tatterheath was Guildford, Horton, Siani and Forshaw with 2, and goals Ryan Orton was on hand with 4. For Hunslet, it was Cork, Shulver and Dearden, and Jordan Gale was successful with 2.
Outstanding result, but it's a case of which Thato Heath turns up from week to week, and you know, it's something that
it's like Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it?
It is. The rugby league version of Jekyll and Hyde in the National Conference League. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like a right curate's egg, isn't it? Every time.
Certainly is.
And again, when I look at that, and I look at, you know, the potential that if they can name a steady side, they're up there amongst the best of the teams. Results like this, performances like you saw earlier in the season against West Hull.
That's right, yeah.
They point to Thato being one of the strongest teams in this competition, but finding that consistency seems to just elude them. I keep saying, and every time we talk about a Thato Heath win, this could be the springboard. But then I'm fed up of saying it because they go and lose the week after.
They nearly drown the week after.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, you know, but what a result, a great performance.
Yeah, because Hunslet were on
fire.
Yeah,
they have been on absolute fire, and interesting that 2 of those, you know, Lions players scoring tries for them in Ben Shulver and Jake Dearden. So again, back doing what they do best for Hunslet, but yeah, big credit there to Thato. That's a brilliant performance. It was also a complete performance for Rochdale Mayfield. They managed to shut out York Acorn by 20 points to 0. This is my name of the season. Tyrone Chipchase,
that's the man,
opened the scoring after a professional foul saw Matthew Wood sin-binned early on. Jack McConaughey then powered over to make it 8-0 at the break in favour of Mayfield. Despite Acorn's best efforts, Mayfield then controlled the second half. Joseph Lowe surged over after 68 minutes, and Cole Connolly crossed shortly after, converting both his own try and Lowe's. So in the end, Rochdale Mayfield, that shutout 20 points to 0 win against York Acorn. Tyrone Chipchase, Jack McConaughey, Joseph Lowe and Cole Connolly with the tries. 2 goals from the boot of that man, Mr. Connolly.
That, for me, what not surprising to me, but well, I suppose it does to a certain extent, is York Acorn not scoring, because they've been really, really good this season. But it's that thing as well now.
Again, they've now lost a couple on the bounce.
That's it.
And they're getting dragged in because nobody's safe. Everybody's looking over the shoulder at the third relegation spot at the moment.
And the thing was, the irony of this is, like you were talking before in the interview with Gareth English, you know, there are 10 teams there who could all actually go on and push for the title, and all can beat each other on the day, which these are all proving, aren't they?
It's a brilliant division this year, you know, and in the past we've talked about top 6, bottom 6. We've now got a top 10 bottom 2, haven't we?
It's crazy. Right, moving over to West Hull, and they welcomed Dewsbury Moor Maroons. If you remember, had a real success against Thato Heath Crusaders the week before, and went down, unfortunately, 32 points to 14. And league leaders West Hull kept their grip on the top spot with a 5-try performance, with Josh Oliver. Eli Wilkinson scored early, with Wilkinson eventually notching a hat-trick. Jacob Moore added a late score, and Jack Townsend was flawless with the boot. Dewsbury Moor battled with limited numbers and got tries from Jack Clarkson and a late penalty try for Harry Hartley, with Greg Colbridge and Brad Foster adding the goals. So the scorers for West Hull were Oliver and Wilkinson with a hat-trick. Jacob Moore and goals was 5 from Jack Townend. Scorers for Dewsbury Moor Maroons, Clarkson, Hartley with a penalty try, and Greg Colbridge and Bradford Foster with the goals. Do you know what? As much as they've got beat there, 32-14 isn't shabby at the end of the day, especially if they've been, you know, a bit tough on numbers.
You know, it's competitive, isn't it? And that's certainly what Dewsbury Moor have been, and they're getting closer, aren't they, to finding a level of consistency now that should see them do quite well. I think in the certainly the second half of the season. Credit to West Hull though. They always seem to find a way. They're like Siddal in that respect, aren't they? They're always right at the top end of this division. Eli Wilkinson is having a right storm of a season, isn't he? You know, he's scoring tries every other week. He's also on his day not a bad goal kicker, although Jack Townend had that flawless day with the boot. And nice to see a couple of other lads that I do know from West Hull also scoring tries. In Josh Oliver, long time with the Skirler club, remember, was the club captain there.
Yeah, that's right,
a recruit at the start of the season to go in there at West Hull. And Jacob Moore, who went on tour with me. I should say I went on tour with him rather than he went on tour with me. That makes it sound like I was having I was like Elton John or somebody, doesn't it? It was a world tour. We took on Western Australia.
He opened for me in Scarborough.
But yeah, I mean, a fantastic fella, great club, West Hull, and again, they're the benchmark as far as consistency goes this season. So I think the top over Siddal by point difference, I think. Meanwhile, over at Lee Miners Rangers, it was a valiant defensive effort, but Lee Miners' winless run extended to 10 matches. Josh McConnell scored in both hearts for the Hornets. Both halves. It's another one of those, isn't it? Yeah. We're clipping this up next week, you will. Josh McConnell scored in both halves for the Hornets, with Greg Rooney slotting over 3 crucial goals. That included a penalty that nudged Brow back in front late on. So it sounds like they had a really good dig here, Lee Miners Rangers. Noah Lancelot getting their early try, which was converted by Johnny Youds. So ultimately in this one, 2 tries from Josh McConnell for Loughborough Hornets, 3 goals from the boot of Greg Rooney for Lee Miners Rangers. That try for Noah Lancelot, and the goal for Johnny Youds.
Johnny Youds, yeah. Moving over, Division 1. Well, everything sort of heated up, and those going under the radar, yes, that's Youth, produced a defensive masterclass to a blank high-scoring Wigan St Jude's, who came into the game averaging 34 points per match. The Villagers went ahead on 18 minutes when Joe Dayton crashed over after sustained pressure. 6 minutes later, Billy Sturdy extended the lead, and Jack Sadler added the extras. Youth came out strong after the break, with Harrison Briggs finding the gap 6 minutes in. Wigan had no response, and when Joe Varro powered over on 65 minutes, the game was sealed. Sadler converted twice more to cap a statement performance.
Right, we can't actually say now that they're under the radar, Heworth.
No,
they've just lifted themselves above that radar.
They put their head over that parapet, haven't they?
They're over it now. They're a challenger.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's got to be, sort of worthy of them. The scorers for Youth were Dayton, Sturdy, Briggs, and Varro, with Sadler adding 3 goals.
Meanwhile, Egremont have climbed into the top 6 with a controlled home win. This came against Shawcross Sharks, and the hosts led 18 points to 0 through a first half purple patch, which featured tries from Pat Wells, Lachlan McDowell, and James Messenger, all of which were converted by Christian Tyson. Tennyson Neagle pulled a try back for the Sharks before the break, and that was converted by Lewis Heckford, but when Jordan Bird dived over late on and Tyson landed his 4th goal, Egremont sealed the points. Callum Barker then got a consolation score for Shawcross, but it was never enough. Egremont Rangers 24, Shawcross Sharks 10. Pat Wells, Lachlan McDowell, James Messenger and Jordan Bird scoring their tries, with 4 goals from the boot of Christian Tyson. For Shawcross Sharks, tries from Tennyson Neagle and Callum Barker, that 1 goal from Lewis Heckford. Well done, Egremont Rangers. Saw them the other week. They were undermanned. They were underpowered over at Oldham St Anne's, which again shows that you're just off it, maybe by 1 or 2%, similar to like what Gareth English was talking about in the Premier Division, and they were second best. But that shows when they can name the side that they want to name, and that's strongest. Yeah, they're up there with a strong contender, and can be considered one of these that could be in the mix come the end of the season in the top 6. And
you're just finding from just those early results, the 2 early results with Jude's and Shawcross Sharks, 2, sort of more solid, contenders that we were sort of talking about, just having a little bit of a wobble, so just proving that, again, this is a competitive league, isn't it?
I knew if we looked at Super League, I mean, Wigan had a wobble, didn't they? They got beat by Wakefield.
Oh, yeah, but Wakefield's a good side. They're a city as well. Ince Rose Bridge, well, playing Kells at home well, Kells pulled off a major upset on Shock Saturday. Stunning league leaders Ince Rose Bridge with a 5-try rout. The Cumbrians surged to a 20 points to 0 lead with tries from Casey Chambers, Jack Ainsley, Oscar Cook and James Ennis, plus 2 goals from Ross Gainford. Ince's Jack Berry was sin-binned for a swinging arm midway through the second half, though Jack Morrison got one back, improved by Eli Steinberg. Kells had the final say. Ryan Starkey crossed and Gainford sealed it with a late drop goal. So scorers for Kells, Casey Chambers, Jack Ainsley, Oscar Cook, James Ennis, Ryan Starkey, and goals Ross Gainford 2 and a drop goal from Ross Gainford. Scorers for Ince Rose Bridge, Jack Morrison, and a goal from Eli Steinberg. That is an upset. Certainly is.
That's a real notable performance, that, from Kells. Kells themselves now, courtesy of that result, on the edge of the top 6. It's all starting to get a little bit interesting. But again, it just shows, doesn't it? Ince Rose Bridge not quite on it, getting beat. And just to think that, what was it, 3 weeks ago now, we were saying about, or I was saying that I thought that they would be doing really well into the second half of the season. Yeah. I wish I'd not opened my mouth.
But you can't.
I won't be welcome there in a couple of weeks when we go back.
And do you know what? Bearing that in mind, Parky, could you get any, sort of better results than Ince Rose Bridge getting beat by Kells?
That's a magnificent performance, that. A magnificent result for Kells.
Yeah.
Probably what was really needed, because I think that they have been a little bit inconsistent, haven't they, since they've dropped out of the Premier Division.
Yeah.
And they probably need it to act as a little bit of a confidence boost for themselves, because they've got some really good players still. We keep talking about Gainford every single week, and it sounds like he's had an absolute storm there. We've talked about James Ennis in the past. We've talked about Casey Chambers. These are guys that have been there and done it for Kells in the past, and it's good to see them on the positive side of things for a change. And you know something? I was saying, I wondered when we'd see a decent Cumbrian side travel. I've missed it.
Yeah.
They obviously named a very strong lineup and came up with a belting result, didn't they?
That is really good, because you know what Ince Rose Bridge is like to visit. I've been there and watched them a couple of times. Last time was they were playing Jude's, and they really get into it. They really perform well in front of their own crowd.
Shock Saturday though.
Do you like that?
Yeah. You've been on the script writing. You have. You've been on a better script writing course than I have.
So, who have we got next?
We've got Wigan St Pat's against Crossfields. It's another shock.
On Saturday.
A thriller at Clarendon Park, and it saw Crossfields edge out the host with a late surge. Well done, Crossfields, on this one. Riley Dervin and Logan Bradbury put Wigan ahead early on, but tries from Tom Millington and Taylor Boyne, converted by Ben Lomax and Sam Hickey, made it 12-10 to the visitors. Jack Sprout scored for the Pats to regain the lead, only for Jamie Abram to finish off a decisive late move. Nathan Taylor then kicked a pressure conversion and added a final minute penalty to secure only Crossfield's second win of the season, but a second straight win. So scorers for Crossfields: Tom Millington, Taylor Boyne and Jamie Abram, with goals split between Ben Lomax with 1, Sam Hickey with 1 and Nathan Taylor with 2. For Wigan St Pat's, Riley Dervin and Logan Bradbury and Jack Sprout were the try scorers, with a lone goal from Isaac Wheatley. That's a notable result, that, isn't it?
I'm over the moon there for Crossfields coach Rob Campbell, honestly, because when I spoke to him last after they got beat by Shawcross, he wouldn't say he was down, but he knew what, if they could get a win, they could hopefully put something together. And obviously last week they got off the mark, and that against Wigan St Pat's, who have been really good at home, and we saw them play at the beginning of the season, and they were absolutely spot on. What this does, though, Parky, is it sets up a nice game for when we're down that neck of the woods next time, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah. And a great win here for Oulton Raiders, Steve.
Oulton Raiders, yeah. Well, who were they up against? They were up against Woolston Rovers, and it was another battle. Last week it was Crossfields against Oulton Raiders, which is another one of those battling there out at the foot of the table. But Oulton snatched the late win in a dramatic fashion. They actually trailed 16 points to 12 with 2 minutes left when Kean Watson crossed out wide. Joe Horan then calmly slotted the conversion to complete a brilliant comeback. Earlier, Horan had scored 2 tries in the first half, and Lewis Hagan added another. Adam Worley starred for Woolston with a try and 2 conversions, while Craig Lawton and Alex Pendlebury also crossed. So scorers there were Oulton Raiders, 2 for Horan and 1 for Hagan and Watson, with Joe Horan conversion. Woolston Rovers, Worley, Lawton and Pendlebury, and Adam Worley was on hand with 2 conversions.
Another really close game, this one, wasn't it? And Oulton Raiders doing enough to get that victory. I mean, it does tee us up nicely for when these sides go around again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got to say, Woolston, though, again, they're in a similar sort of position that Crossfields were in, but they need a win to try and spark something, some momentum going forward.
One side that is jagging more than a few wins over the course of the season is Stanley, and they were successful at home again. A solid second half display, lifting them closer to the top 4. There were tries from Taylor Hart and Sam Peck, both converted by Adam Butterill, and that broke a 12-all deadlock. Jeremy Wiscombe and Jack Hepworth had scored first tries for the lead side. Oldham had stayed in touch with tries from Elliot Mills and Kyle Sanders. Both were improved by Matt Whitehead, but ultimately they faded late on. So in this one, for Stanley, tries from Jeremy Wiscombe, Jack Hepworth, Tyler Hart and Sam Peck. 4 goals from the boots of Adam Butterill. And for Oldham St Anne's, tries for Elliot Mills and Kyle Sanders. 2 goals from the boots of Matt Whitehead. Good result that for Stanley, just keeps them in touch with that top 4.
Stanley, another one of those teams who, again, when we saw them against Jude at the beginning of the season, we like what we saw.
They're a good side. They're proving themselves to be a good side this year.
And they have just sort of increased on that incrementally, and they're really pushing, sort of some of the teams. And anybody that takes them lightly are going to get the backsides kicked, I'll tell you. So that's Division 1. Moving over to Division 2, Old Dockers were up against Thornhill Trojans, and Old Dockers revived their survival hopes in style, ending an 8-game losing streak with a dominant win over fellow strugglers Thornhill Trojans. The Dockers stormed to a 24 points to 0 lead by half-time, with standout Dave Scott notching 2 tries and 5 goals in a player of the match performance. Tries from Dave Baird, Dan Sowerby 2, Lewis Hill and Tim Hill followed as Dockers ran riot. Thornhill managed a late consolation through James Selden, but it was nowhere near enough to halt the Dockers' momentum. Old Dockers scored, as you said before, 2 for Scott, Dave Baird, Danny Sowerby got 2, Lewis Hill and Tim Hill, with Dave Scott adding 5 goals. Thornhill Trojan, their score was from James Sheldon.
Got to really compliment Hull Dockers here, because again I know that they've been doing it tough. I think they've managed to put together a couple of really good performances over the last few weeks. The tail is starting to wag now, isn't it? They are starting to look up the division. Great for them to get Dave Scott in. If it's the same Dave Scott that I'm thinking of, and obviously we might have more learned listeners, and I want them to put me right if what I'm saying is bobbins. But there was a Dave Scott who spent quite a bit of time in the professional game. So he went playing for the likes of Hull Kingston Rovers. He played for the likes of, I want to say, Batley. I'm sure that he also, did the rounds with another couple of pro clubs. Doncaster perhaps as well. His dad used to follow him everywhere as a youngster and film all his games because he's a proper Scotsman.
I see.
I'm sure it's him.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's him, but if it isn't, then well done to the Dave Scott who it actually isn't. If I've built someone up, that's not you, mate. I am so sorry, but as I say, those more learned, Hull Dockers speak, please put us right or let us know, because that's a worthy performance. That 2 tries and 5 goals.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Over at Dewsbury Celtic were ruthless from the outset. They piled on 42 unanswered points before Ellenborough's only score. Jordan Hurst ran the show with 2 tries and 9 goals and finished with a personal haul of 26 points. Also on the score sheet were Dom Senior, Billy Yarrow, we mention him every week, don't we? Callum Wilkins, Dane Windrow, Joe Mitchell And a late brace from Casey Canterbury, who's another one of these guys, who's had stints within the semi-professional game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, never seems to do a long stint, but he shows whenever he steps to this level that he's a cut above it.
Yeah.
And there's a number of players that seem to do that. They don't seem to get regular rugby in semi-pros for whatever reason. It might be down to him, to be fair, that he's not playing in the Championship or League One. But really decent performance this, and he's a good player, is Casey Canterbury. Ollie Rigby claimed Rangers' solitary try on 67 minutes. It's becoming a hard season this for Ellenborough Rangers, isn't it? So the scorers for Dewsbury Celtic, 2 tries from Jordan Hurst, 1 each from Dom Senior, Billy Yarrow, Callum Wilkins, Dane Windrow and Joe Mitchell. Casey Canterbury with 2, and Jordan Hurst having that productive afternoon with the boot with 9 goals, and Ellenborough Rangers with Ollie Rigby getting over for their try.
Yeah, big win that for Dewsbury Celtic. Meanwhile, Pilks Rex, well, they welcomed the high flyers East Leeds over to their home ground. East Leeds continued that perfect start with another commanding performance away at Pilks. Tries from Jake Normington, 2 for Shane Plunkett, George Clark, Kieran Brining, Maurice Camano and Nehemiah Messana overwhelmed the horse. Luke Littlewood converted 5 of the 7 tries, and for Pilkingtons, Josh O'Connell and Jonathan Keys dotted down with Kieran Napper converting both. So East Leeds scorers were Normington, 2 for Plunkett, Clark, Brining, Camano, Mensa, and 5 goals for Luke Littlewood. Pilks Rex had O'Connell and Keys with Kieran Napper with 2 goals. Always going to be tough. I think we spoke about it last week with the guys from Pilks. It's a matter of keeping the score down. And they've done it, though, to be fair.
I said as well, if they got within 30 points, they've done well. And they did get within 30 points. So, well played, Pilks Rex. But East Leeds, they're chasing this perfect season, aren't they? And I tell you what, they're going to chase hard till the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see whether the likes of Dewsbury Celtic can get near them over the second half of the year.
That's going to be one of the big games, isn't it? And if East Leeds do go up, well, all the better in that respect to see, how they fare against better competition.
And how good have Hensington been in this first tilt at Division 2 for them? Yeah. So they've secured their place in the top 4 with a well-earned win over Normanton. Matt Williams opened the scoring before Reuben Butterworth and Corby Rickaby each grabbed a brace of tries. Normanton briefly led 8-6 at half-time, thanks to tries from Tom Robinson, not that one I don't think, and Stuart Biscombe, both converted by Charlie Barker, but they couldn't add to their tally until late on. Kieran Muse was ever reliable with the boot, slotting home 4 goals for Hensington. So again, those scorers for Hensington: Matt Williams with a try, 2 for Reuben Butterworth, 2 for Corby Rickaby, 4 goals from the boot of Kieran Muse. And for Normanton Knights, Tom Robinson and Stuart Biscombe with the tries, with 3 goals, I should say, for the boot of Charlie Barker. 28-14 it finished in that one.
Clotface Miners, they were away to Skirler and they sealed a narrow win on the road, racing into a 20-4 lead before resisting a late Skirler comeback. The Miners got on top early with tries from Geordie Ettleston, Connor McCartan, Lewis Gerrity, Oscar Hardman and Carl Hunt, with Gerrity adding 2 goals. Barney Teasdale scored Skirler's early try, and a second half score, 2 from Tom Gray and Billy Stead, with a goal by Kieran Smith, brought them close, but not close enough. Scorers for Clotface were Eccleston, McCartan and Garrity, and Oscar Hardman. Carl Hunt also adding a try, Lewis Gerrity on hand with 2 goals. Skirler, it was Barney Teasdale, 2 for Tom Gray, 1 from Billy Stead, and a goal from Kieran Smith. I
gotta say as well, when I'm looking through that one, I'm sure when we've spoken about Teasdale earlier on the season, he's changed his name. It was Barnaby at the start of the year. So he's obviously not been keen at the full name being used, and he's dropped it to Barney. That's the only thing he can suggest, unless Again, our friends over in Skirler can advise whether that's not the same player.
Yeah.
We do have to ask these questions, don't we? Fair play to Skirler. Great fight back, just fell short. Clotface Miners, though, I know you spoke, to them last week.
Tariq Cunningham, yeah.
And Lee wasn't particularly impressed with any of the performances that they've put up with so far. And I'm sure he'll be pleased with elements of that, but not with the full performance. But they've got that win yet again. And they've gone over to the other side of the country and picked up a win at a potential ground which is a banana skin.
Do you know what? And they've done that well this season, where they've gone to some places, they've scraped wins, but the bottom line is they're good away wins.
Yeah, they're winning.
The sign of a good team is that, if you play bad and you're still coming away with the points. And I think Lee actually said this last week in the interview, was if they hit the straps, he has to think, well, there could really well be like.
Well, again, at risk of me bringing Super League into it, one thing that seemed to surprise the Sky commentary team at the weekend when they were commentating on Lee's win in Catalan was the amount of close results that Lee have had in their favour. And you could almost argue that Clotface Miners, they're like the Lee Leopards of the NCL Division 2, aren't they? Because they've been getting those close results, and they're up right near the top of the league, and I'm sure that, as well as seeing his owner dancing in the background, which I know you was going to raise that, so I thought I'd get that in. He's presiding over that. Now, I'm not sure who danced in the background of Clotface Miners. I don't know anybody that well at the club. But I'm sure inside they would have definitely been dancing, because it's still a difficult place to go, that Skirler.
Yeah.
Despite them being up and down in the league, and perhaps more down than up this year.
Yeah.
I think, again, they're sort of like pushing and are starting things are starting to settle down for them. And with the results over the last couple of weeks, that suggests Skirler are in for a much better second half of the season.
Yeah, could be true, though.
But a great win that for Clotface, even though, like you said, I'm sure Lee Cunningham, again, probably would be thinking, we could do better than what we're doing.
Yeah.
But they're winning.
Yeah.
Barrow Island, they have carried on getting a result as well. So, despite travelling with a bare 13 players, Barrow Island delivered an inspired performance to return into the top six. They flew out of the blocks early on with tries from Declan Baines, Shane Sanderson and Nathan Sneesby, all of which were converted by Ellis Archer. So Ellis is a Workington Town player who's on dual reg. Yeah. So this is even more fascinating when you look at it, because Ellis Archer, dual reg, there's only 12 other players that have been alongside him this weekend. He's earned his corn going there on dual reg, hasn't he? Adam Ford then sealed the win with a second half double. Good player, Adam Ford. I remember seeing him a few years ago playing in sort of the college competition. I commentated on him in a final, and I thought, there's a right player there. And he had a go at Barrow Raiders, and has since found himself back at Barrow Island, but he is a fine player at that level. Driglington tried to rally through 2 tries from Aaron Blake, with Mick Sanderson adding a goal, but they couldn't reel in the fired up Islanders. So ultimately, I think this is a real notable win for Barrow Island. Deck Baines, Shane Sanderson, Nathan Sneesby, 2 tries from Adam Ford and Ellis Archer, with 4 goals in total for Drig, 2 tries from Aaron Blake and the 1 goal from Mick Sanderson in a 28-10 success.
So you've been up that neck of the woods this weekend, haven't you, commentating on Workington?
On Workington, yeah.
What's the weather been like up there?
It was pretty good, to be honest. Yeah. Although I will say it did chuck it down. Before kick-off. It absolutely hurled it down before kick-off on that.
Why? Because I'm just concerned that there was only 13.
But it says they travelled, so this is also at Driglington.
So it was at Driglington?
Well, that's what the report suggests.
I wonder what it was. Whether it was.
Are you wanting me to double check to see where this was?
Yeah.
All right. Give us a minute. It's not good radio, this. Talk amongst yourselves. In fact, you could play a couple of foul ups from my commentary again, Steve, while you're at it.
No, we don't want another hour. No, I'll tell you what my point is, because even if they've travelled with 13, it was a warm day on Saturday. And that, for me, it could well have been a dangerous thing to a certain degree, if those guys have had to stay on that pitch for the full 80 minutes.
They fulfilled the fixture. They would have got. It would have been far worse had they not travelled.
Yeah, I mean, point being is, if you've not given, if something would have happened, serious have happened there, and that for me, that's dangerous. Simple as I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm patting Barrow Island on the back for getting 13 players on the pitch. To be honest,
yeah. My point is that should there be at least 14 that you need to have to get a game of rugby going.
But then again, the other thing in that is that had they not fulfilled,
good win though,
had they not fulfilled that fixture, they'd be talking about getting relegated at the end of the year.
It's weighing
that's NCL rules.
Well, I think there could be, there could be an issue there. I think if that's the case.
That's not Barrow Island getting on the blower tee, is it?
No, I've got nothing against Barrow Island. I mean, they've, as you said, they've fulfilled it, they've won it. But what my point being, as a precedence, I think that's.
I mean, I'm hoping that is not what we're coming to expect of Barrow Island travelling. That should certainly fire a few interesting conversations from a national conference point of view.
Yeah, because could other teams start doing the same?
Because like I'm saying, they've had Ellis Archer in there, who is a working to the town player on dual reg.
Yeah.
And they've only had 12 other players that have committed themselves to this fixture, which is brilliant. And those players, they'll talk about this win. That'll go down in history, So just as much as we hear about Waterhead, with the two coaches having to play one game a few years ago and losing by 90 points away in Cumbria somewhere.
Yeah.
They'll talk about this at Barrow Island, but this is a win. I mean, this is real notable stuff. But I do get where you're coming from, and this should.
And that's, as I say, this is not aimed at Barrow Island at all. Don't get me wrong.
As to why they couldn't name more players, because and I thank them. Really from an NCL point of view for fulfilling this fixture. But yeah. They'll talk about that for years.
They certainly will. It'll be interesting to keep an eye if anything does come of that, I must admit. So, move on to Division 3 and Bentley. Well, they completed the double over title rivals with a half. They were up against Keighley Albion, by the way. Completed the double over the title rivals with a half-fought win at home. After an even start, the hosts broke through when Jordan Middleton grounded a well-weighted kick. Scott Smith doubled the lead with a powerful finish before the break. Keighley responded through Adam Gaunt, converted by Ben Stead, cutting the gap to 12-6. But a late surge from Bentley sealed the win as Charlie Harmer crossed 4 minutes from time. Kieran Lewis converted all three of Bentley's tries in a perfect day with the boots. So scorers for Bentley were Jordan Middleton, Scott Smith, Charlie Harmer, and 3 goals from Kieran Lewis. Keighley Albion, tries from Adam Gaunt and goals from Ben Stead. Well done, Bentley.
Oh, great result that.
Yeah.
Fantastic result. Playing some good stuff this season, Bentley.
Yeah. Was it Charlie Harmer who we spoke to when we were up there? Because his name rings a bell. I must admit, from when we were watching him against, was it Enzingen? Yeah, we might have been talking to him afterwards, actually, when we were enjoying the hospitality, as you might say.
That's another great place for hospitality as
well.
Oh,
it's lovely. Lovely little club, that, gotta say.
Going from one lovely club to another, Saddleworth Rangers.
Love it.
See, I'm going to be getting Waterhead sending me hate mail again here because I'm praising another. Can I call them Oldham? They're not keen, are they? Sometimes they think that's still Yorkshire.
It's that cusp, isn't it?
It's still Yorkshire. I don't know. I'm on dodgy territory here. But anyway, lovely club. Lovely club. Great view. Saddleworth Rangers 42, Dissington 0. Saddleworth Rangers ran in 7 tries in a dominant display against a depleted Dissington side who could only field 16 players. Finn Winterbottom grabbed a first half double and was joined on the scoreboard by Zach Round, Joe Molden, Joe Thierry and Stephen Neild and Elliot Kane going over the line. Jack Bradbury had a superb afternoon, converting all 7 tries. Despite the scoreline, Thomas Ethan Black at fullback stood out for the visitors with a courageous individual performance. I bet he felt like King Canute though, trying to stop the waves from the sound of this one. Saddleworth Rangers completing the 42-0 win thanks to those 2 tries from Finn Winterbottom, 1 each for Zach Round, Joe Molden, Joe Tierra and Stephen Neild and Elliot Kane, with Bradbury adding those 7 goals.
7 goals, that's absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Milford, well, they were up against Featherstone Lions and they pulled off an upset, an away win against playoff hopefuls Featherstone Lions. They came from behind to secure only their 2nd victory of the season. Charlie Acer gave them an early lead, goaled by Ryan Pinder, but Featherstone struck back with a brace from Jack Breers and a try by Danny Johnson, with Liam Kay adding a goal. Milford responded in the second half with tries from Joe Tharm and Callum Platt. Both conversions, one by Tarm and the other by Pinder, edged them ahead for good. So scorers were Milford, Charlie Acer, John Tharm and Callum Platt, with goals from Joe Tharm and 2 from Ryan Pinder. Featherstone Lions tries, 2 from Jack Breers and 1 from Danny Johnson, and a Liam Kay goal.
Bit of a notable win that for Milford.
It is.
Again, they're stirring in the Division 3, and a notable win here for Myton Warriors as well, defeating Millom by 32 points to 20. Myton taking sweet revenge for their early season defeat in Cumbria with a commanding first half. They raced into a 28-0 lead in just 23 minutes, with tries going the way of Keelan Gregg, 1, Nathan Slater, who we talk about every single week and talk about every single season. I think he's played for all of the Hull clubs that are in the National Conference League and scored tries wherever he's gone. A fantastic halfback. He scored 2 tries in that. Alfie Wall, he's a player that we've also mentioned this season for Myton, also grabbing 2 tries, and Ryan Walker, 4 of which were converted by Jack Sanderson. Although Nathan Slater was forced off with a hamstring injury, Millom then capitalised on the loss of momentum and hit back through Connor Terrell, Jack Spears and Tom O'Brien, with Tom Askew also going over, Jackson Evans converting 2 of those tries, but the comeback in total fell short. So in the end, Myton Warriors 6 tries on the board, Keelan Gregg 2 each for Nathan Slater and Alfie Wall. Another try there for Ryan Walker, with 4 goals from the boot of Jack Sanderson. And for Millom, Connor Terrell, Jack Spears, Tom O'Brien and Tom Askew with the tries. Jackson Evans kicking 2 goals.
And finally, to round things off, Lee East had a wonderful victory at home against Bentley, and they climbed into the top 4 with a confident shutout of the bottom club. Callum Hughes opened scoring, followed by 2 tries from Cameron Clark either side of the break. Late tries from Bernard Abagowai, Matty Aspinall and Jay Yarwood added gloss to the scoreline. Nathan Leach converted 2 of the 6 tries. Beverley's day worsened, with Ben Clark being sin-binned then sent off for punching, and Tom Borum received a yellow for ungentlemanly conduct. So scorers for Lee East were Callum Hughes, Cameron Clark, who had 2, Bernard Abagowai, Matty Aspinall, Jay Yarwood, and 2 goals from Nathan Leach.
Decent win that.
Good win, yeah.
It was a game that was full of cards, and not all of them being put on Christmas cards list, I'd imagine, from that.
They've been made up with a 0 as well. Very much so.
And again, their form's been up and down over this season, so maybe that'll kickstart them onto better things, please. Can I still say that? I can still be biased, can't I, to Lee East? Yeah. I did 6 years there.
There you go.
I've still got my soft spot for him, you know, Steve.
So you're still biased towards Risley because you did 6 years there as well, didn't you? Oh no, that's
my DBS. Don't mention that. My DBS is clear. I keep telling you, Steve. I've actually shown you my DBS. That's fine. Anyway, thanks a lot for that.
Forgery, that's what you were in for.
Pretending to be a rugby league commentator, I think that's what I was in. But in all seriousness, great win that for Lee East. And our fixtures this week.
Can I just say though,
Parky, what are you saying? What are you saying now?
2 weeks on the trot.
Well, you're giving me stick.
We've had 2 weeks on the trot where the games have just been all over the place. I mean, we sort of look at the fixtures and we sort of go, oh yeah, they're nailed on for that, I think, and they're nailed on for that. And if it was prediction league, we wouldn't have a point.
Welcome to crazy time. Crazy time every year.
This week's fixtures, what's going to happen?
Well, it all kicks off on Friday evening. Division 1, Shawcross Sharks hosting Alton Raiders. Bit of a local derby there. And then on Saturday in the Premier Division, we've got Dewsbury Moor Maroons hosting Waterhead. We have Hunslet hosting Lee Miners Rangers. We have the absolutely massive game that was alluded to, with Gareth English saying a little bit earlier, Siddal at home to West Hull. I mean, that's a blue ribbon fixture and a half, isn't it?
We were speaking to Canaan Smithies as well, wasn't it, after you finished your interview, and he was waxing lyrically and trying, pleading with us to get over there after that one, but unfortunately we both tied up on other games. But if we weren't, we'd have certainly tried our best. I know that, because we want to go to Siddal, don't we?
Will the real Sato Heath please stand up? They're at home once more against Rochdale Mayfield. Will the real Mayfield stand up as well? Because they've been a little bit up and down.
Two teams are in that sort of dodgy position.
Coming off such a good win last week, they'll both be wanting a bit of consistency, won't they? Wathborough Hornets up against Lot Lane. Interesting that one.
That's a good one, yeah.
York Acorn looking to bounce back to winning ways against West Bowling.
Yeah, I think York do need to try and get, again, they're having another one similar to Thatto and Rochdale to a certain extent. Maybe not as bad, but that sort of little bit of a wobble at the moment.
This looks like a good one on the calendar as well. Egremont Rangers at home again, this time against Heworth. Again, I'm sort of wondering, Heworth win there, and for me, they can really start making that tilt for promotion. Kells at home against Stanley. Big fixture that for both of their sides. Oldham St Anne's at home against Wigan St Pat's. That seems like it's going to be a great game as well. And this one, I think you're going to go to it, aren't you, Steve?
I went to the Ince-Rose Bridge Wigan St Jude's match, and it was a good game, and I'm sure Judes will think that they're all the friendly neighbours, he says in inverted commas, some revenge for that. But it'll be interesting to see if Mr. Cassidy plays in this one, because he didn't play in the first one, and I think that was possibly the difference to a certain extent.
You're the Cassidy fan,
you're
number one member.
I'll hold my hand up. I certainly am. Been down there to see that one, so really looking, because I'm sure it's not going to be another big crowd as well.
These will be good games in Division 2 this week as well. Barrow Island hosting Clockface Miners. I think we'll see a stronger Barrow Island team this week. I just think that they got Driglingtonitis last week.
Do you think so?
I think that's why. But again, it is a team sheet I'll be keeping my eyes open for, without a doubt. They're up against Clockface Miners. I mean, that sounds like on paper that's going to be an absolute umdinger.
Yeah.
Dewsbury Celtic, they're at home to Hensingham. Again, that could be a magnificent game, to be fair. East Leeds at home against Skirler. Big intake of breath there, Steve. We don't need your inhaler around, do we? Normanton Knights, they're at home against Hull Dockers. Pilks Rex at home against Driglington, a real chance for Pilks to bounce back in this one for me. Thornhill Trojans up against Ellenborough Rangers. It's a battle of two struggling teams, that one. Into Division 3, we have Bentley against Featherstone Lions. Should be an interesting fixture, that one. Beverley against Dissington. So again, two sides that are struggling to gain any sort of momentum this season. Oh, this one looks a good one. Keighley Albion against Saddleworth Rangers. And certainly interesting given the fact that Keighley have lost a couple of games recently as well.
Yeah.
Lee East at home again, this time against Myton Warriors. I think they lost the other game at Myton a few weeks ago. And then the game that I'm going to be at, Milford against Millom. I am led to believe that Millom have not been covered by BBC Radio Cumbria, so I'm looking to make amends with that and going over on behalf of that. But Milford is a place where I've never been to a game involving Milford.
Whereabouts is that?
So it's in Leeds. And again, what I know from this is a few years ago, Lancashire played a game there.
Yeah.
And they had like double headers in that. And this was again in the really early days of the streaming and what have you. I'd got along to commentate on both of these games. And nobody told us that where this club was actually where the club actually was.
Story,
where the club actually was, because this is so it's like a gorgeous setting, So you're at the side of the River Aire in Leeds. It's the Kirkstall training ground, which Leeds Rhinos use. It's the home of Milford. Gorgeous setting. I had no idea where Milford Club was. So everybody just like disappeared, and me and Terry Gorman were just sort of like up this gantry without a paddle. And of course everybody's disappeared. There's nobody to help you or anything, We had no idea where to go. Apparently there was some food on, so I'm reckoning there's still some chips in Milford's
with your name on.
With my name on, from about 6 years ago. But
stick them into a fryer, love.
In seriousness though, I'm really looking forward to going over. I do intend to have a chat with people from Milford for this show next week. And again, Millham are always good value. I've got a couple of mates that do.
Well, we spoke to some, didn't we, when they played Lee East? If I remember rightly.
We did. So they've got Connor Terrell, who's amongst the better players. See if Lee Postlethwaite plays possibly, and of course Brad Crellin is a friend of the show. After his one interview with us for, that after that Lee East game.
That was a good one actually, because he thought he was being stitched up, didn't he?
He did, he did, but perhaps not as much as the Lee East player that we spoke to. He actually did think he was proper being stitched up. So I'm looking forward to getting along to that one and giving shining a light somewhat on Division 3, because we haven't featured Division 3 maybe quite as often this season.
No, there's quite a few I think we've missed out on, and unfortunately, we've got to try and get down to a Keighley Albion.
We've been after cloning all season. I've been trying to clone myself because I need a version of me at work, I need a version of me doing the BBC stuff, and I need a version of me doing the NCL stuff. It's not worked so far.
And your mum and dad wants a version of you doing the washing up.
That's something else, and the cleaning up, to be fair. But is that just about us done and dusted this week, see?
It certainly is, mate.
Referee blows his watch, checks the whistle. It's a final farewell, and we'll be back again to do it all next Wednesday. Ta-ra!
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.